Colorado's on board. Now the question is, who's next? I'm Pete Mundo, HeartlandCollegeSports.com. It is great to be here with you covering the Big 12 Conference. For those of you watching on YouTube or on Facebook or through Instagram, we're back in the studios, as you can tell. Appreciate you being here after a couple of weeks away, but I still gave you, I believe, plenty of breaking news content as Colorado's in the Big 12, as always. Leave a rating, review, subscribe. We've got the Heartland College Sports koozies when you do that. And send me a screenshot of your rating and review on iTunes to Pete Mundo, Mundo, at HeartlandCollegeSports.com. So we are now in a place where the Big 12 is going to be adding a 14th team. Colorado's on board. The question is, who's next? So I went down the list and I ranked my top targets for the Big 12 Conference. Not who's most likely per se, but my top targets for the Big 12 Conference, and I'll explain each one as I go. I've got 10 teams here that we're going to run down for the Big 12 as we rank Big 12 expansion candidates who should be the 14th team to join this league. At number 1, the Oregon Ducks. Now, before you say this is a long shot, before you say, Pete, Oregon's going to the Big 10, stop. It doesn't matter. Don't even bother having the conversation. Not so fast. Kevin Warren is no longer running the Big 10. He's the commissioner who added UCLA and USC. He's not involved anymore. There's not a lot of appetite right now, it appears, from the Big 10 to bring on Oregon and Washington. It would be more convenient, but it does not appear to be something that they are dying to do. They would have done it by now. So if you're looking at the Big 12, if you're Oregon, and I've got, by the way, teaser, Washington at number 2 on my list, why would you not at least take a serious look at the Big 12? You'd be foolish not to if you're Oregon or Washington. I mean, I know it's not your top landing spot, but hey, if things don't get better quickly, you're going to end up in the Mountain West or a glorified version of the Mountain West with no end in sight. You may as well join the Big 12 Conference and say, you know what, I'm going to roll the dice. Maybe we love the conference. Maybe we don't. But then there's probably going to be another batch of realignment in 2030, give or take. That's probably when the next realignment happens because that's when the TV contracts are up. So there's nothing wrong with Oregon saying, hey, you know what, for 5-6 years, we're going to join the Big 12. And by the way, the Big 12, and I wrote about this at Heartland College Sports, the Big 12 should also be just fine playing backup to the Big 10 for Oregon and Washington. I mean, they should not be insulted by the fact that Oregon and Washington prefer the Big 10. Who cares? I mean, if you're taking a girl out on a date and she's a 10 and you're a soft 5, are you going to be like, hey, gorgeous, you're way out of my league? There's no reason for you to say yes to me. I know you agreed to a date, but listen, you're so far out of my league. You don't really want to be with me. No, you're going to sell yourself, right? You're going to be like, no. Let me show you what a good guy I am. Now, don't be a sucker. Don't be a loser, but show what a decent guy you are. Have some fun. Be funny. Goes a long way. Just maybe Oregon and Washington love being in the Big 12 after 5 years. And if they don't, they leave and the Big 12 gets a big buyout. There's nothing wrong with that scenario. And I'm not even guaranteeing that scenario plays out, but everybody's just like, oh, Oregon, Washington, they're going to the Big 10. Why? Why would that assumption be there? And let me add to that as well and say that assumption being there doesn't make a lot of sense from the standpoint of the TV networks. If the Big 10 is going to be paying tens of millions of dollars more per year to each team, why would they want to add Oregon and Washington to that list when they can get them on a deal in the Big 12 for about $31, $32 million per team per year? It actually is beneficial to the TV networks to have them join the Big 12. It will save them tens of millions of dollars versus giving them the same amount of money to go join the Big 10. And if you're Oregon and Washington, hey, 32 mil in the Big 12 is a heck of a lot better than whatever kind of deal you might cobble together with George Kliavkov in this glorified Mountain West conference you're about to be in. I mean, let's just be honest about that for a second, too, as well. Can we please? So the notion that Oregon and Washington cannot be or should not be serious targets for the Big 12 does not make any sense, especially now that Colorado got and was the first domino to fall. Now the question is, who's next? And if I'm the Big 12, as I rank the expansion candidates here for you, I've got Oregon at 1 and Washington at 2. And I know some of you are saying, hey, you know what? Oregon and Washington are not out of our league. I don't want them if they don't want us. Stop. Some of you said the same thing about Colorado. Don't bring them back. They left us in the Big 12. Get over that. Get over it. It's a zero. College sports is a zero-sum game. If you pick somebody up, you're winning and somebody else is losing. It's a zero-sum game. You cannot build up, and if you can build up brands, it takes years and years and years to do it. In a zero-sum game, leave the emotion out of it. Just do what's in the best interest of your league, whether they would call you their first choice or not. Who cares? It's irrelevant. So I've got Oregon at 1, Washington at 2. At number 3 for Big 12 expansion targets for the 14th team, I'm putting Arizona there. Now, obviously, Arizona appears to be the most likely team right now to make that move. Robert Robbins, the president there, apparently has kind of not wanted to be the guy that officially puts the final nail in the coffin of the Pac-12. Colorado essentially did that. So if Arizona's going to move, they better do it soon. Like, they better make a move here at some point, because if not, like, I want Arizona. I think it'd be great, because to me, Arizona continues to solidify the Big 12 as the best basketball conference in America, hands down. But then also, Arizona's always kind of been the sleeping giant in football. They've never met their expectations, considering they should be recruiting like crazy in Southern California. They should be recruiting like crazy in Texas. Phoenix has a lot of talent. Spencer Rattler, right, is an Arizona kid. Like, they just have so much access to talent. Let's be honest. Big school, great party school. From what I hear, never been. Great time. Like, in the sun, in the South, growing part of the country. Arizona's been a sleeping giant forever in football. And they have woefully underperformed and not come close to what the expectations should be there in Tucson. But the basketball is the basketball. And you solidify the basketball as the best basketball brand in college sports. And then you bring on a football program that, to me, could be a sleeping giant and is a natural cultural fit for the Big 12. So Arizona at 3 makes a lot of sense as I rank the Big 12 expansion candidates to become the 14th team, with Colorado, of course, jumping ship back to the Big 12 last week, which I'm just so excited by. I wrote about that a year ago, and a year later, it finally happened. A lot of you are very high, by the way, on Arizona football this year. I can't tell you a lot. I mean, we focus here on the Big 12. I know that you look at Arizona and you say to yourself, okay, can they finally get things going in the right direction? I hope they can under Jed Fish, but I don't follow him closely enough to be able to tell you either way what's going to happen there. So let's see what goes on moving forward. Arizona, listen, if Arizona doesn't move, then somebody else will, and Arizona is going to rue the day they didn't leave for the Big 12. That's the reality of the situation here. At number 4, and a lot of you are not going to like this school when it comes to Big 12 expansion targets after Colorado. I'm putting Utah there. I know I can't stand the Utah fans either, at least some of them. They've been loudmouth bums who are like, oh, it's a truck stop conference. Okay, Utah, get over yourself. Get over yourself, Utah. Like, you're anything special? Any hot shakes? Are you kidding me? Now, you got a nice football program. Yep, okay, got a good football program. I'll give you that. Utah's got a good football program, and, Kyle Whittingham's done a very good job. But you really think you're above the Big 12 at Utah? Come, you were in the Mountain West. You kidding me? And but once again, I'm going to leave the emotion out of it here, because the emotion doesn't do anybody any good. Utah's attractive because of the football program and the fact that you would bring in one of the great rivalries in the sport, the Holy War, under your umbrella into your conference. And rivalries to TV networks are valuable. They mean something. They sell. So from that standpoint, I think it makes a lot of sense for Utah to be on that target list and have them in a conference with BYU, have that Holy War as a staple every year in football, and it will be primetime, can't miss college football on probably Big ESPN or Big Fox in the late night slot. Like, that's great for the Big 12. So as much as Utah fans are driving me nuts, and boy, they are, I'd put them fourth on the list for the Big 12 right now on expansion targets. Now, at number 5, this might surprise you. My 5th target, if I'm looking for the 14th team in the Big 12. By the way, I'm Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports. We cover the Big 12 Conference all over this league, and we've been doing this for now almost a decade. So find us at heartlandcollegesports.com. Hit that subscribe button as well. We appreciate you being here. Number 5, I've got Oregon State at number 5. Now, I have not been to Corvallis, but Corvallis is much more of a suburb of Portland. And it's along the coast of Oregon. It is a place that is growing rapidly in terms of people that you talk to up in that area. It's almost twice the size of Pullman, Washington, where Washington State is. They've had moments and they've had spurts of very good and entertaining football. They kind of remind me of the Pac-12's version of Oklahoma State to some degree. And you probably are wondering why I have them ranked ahead of Arizona State. It says a lot more about Arizona State than it does about Oregon State. So I put Oregon State 5th on my list because, one, it's close to Eugene, where Oregon is. If you have a world where you potentially get them both, I don't think that's a bad thing for anybody. If they want to be attached at the hip and you want to go to 16 teams, you tell Utah to pound sand and away you go. But I'm intrigued by Oregon State. I've got them 5th on my list. Then I've got Arizona State. I mean, Arizona State, is there anybody who has done less with more potential than Arizona State athletics, notably football? Seriously, I mean, can you think of one? Just off the top of your head, maybe you can find an SEC team, but my goodness, Arizona State just does nothing year after year after year. It's just, you got to go back almost 10 years to Todd Graham to feel like this team was relevant last time around. They did mostly nothing under Herm Edwards. That was a big bust for him as at Arizona State. So it's like, when have you felt good about this program last? It's just crazy. I mean, you got to go way, way back to almost 30 years ago under Bruce Snyder when they went 11-1 and lost the Rose Bowl. The last time Arizona State you felt like was high and mighty. And by the way, that was a blip of a season. 6-5 the year before, 9-3 after that. If you have done less with more than Arizona State, I'm just not impressed. They've been kind of steadfast against joining the Big 12. So if they want to ride away and join the glorified Mountain West, let them do it. Let them do it. Next up, I've got Washington State, 7th on my list of Big 12 targets to be the 14th team in this conference. Listen, we know what Washington State has done. They've had glimpses of success in football, most recently under Mike Leach. Pullman, Washington, look at the map, generally in the middle of nowhere. Now, it's a beautiful part of the country for whatever that's worth, but there's no reason to have many higher than that. After that, I'm going UConn. Now, I have no other Pac-12 teams on this list. I'm not interested in Stanford, and I'm not interested in Cal. Before you say, how could you not be interested in Stanford? I'm not interested in a team that can't sell out a stadium when Andrew Luck's their quarterback. That doesn't do anything for the TV networks. That does not make your conference money. Your conference will not make any money when you have a program that does not care about the sport and will not tune in to watch its team and does not have a large fan base for the most part. They literally couldn't sell out the stadium with Andrew Luck. It's part of the reason Jim Harbaugh is like, I'm out. I got the number one draft pick, a generational quarterback, and our fan base doesn't care. So they don't bring anything to the table from that perspective. Great. They're an awesome institution. Stanford should go independent, a la Notre Dame, and move on. That's what they should do. And then Cal, same thing. They don't care about football. They're not going to invest. The fan base doesn't care. The alumni don't care. Nobody shows up to games. There was that viral clip last year of Marshawn Lynch cursing on TV saying, where the bleep is everybody at the Cal football game? I don't need Cal. So 8th on my list for Big 12 expansion candidates. After, I've got Oregon at 1, Washington at 2, Arizona 3, Utah 4, Oregon State 5, Arizona State 6, and Washington State 7. At 8, I'm putting UConn there. Yes, you have a team that's won the national title in football 3 times in the past 25 years. Or, 5 times, right, in the past 25 years? Holy cow. Including this past season. But the football is horrific, and ultimately football pays the bills. And I don't know how many current Big 12 presidents and ADs are enthused at the idea of going to UConn for anything, honestly. Yes, it would be great for basketball, but you're taking a big risk by saying UConn basketball is going to make up for having UConn football in the conference when football is still the major revenue driver. Not that basketball can't make more money. It can make more money. And that's part of Brett Yormark's bet, the Big 12 commissioner. He is of the belief that for too long, college sports and conferences in general have thrown in basketball along with football, and that we should break them apart potentially in the next contract and sell football to one group of TV partners and sell basketball to another group of TV partners. He may ultimately be proven right on that. We don't know. We're not going to know for a few years. But that's a big gamble to take based on UConn football. And I know that Jim Mora Jr. had a decent year last year, but it's still UConn football. Nobody really cares about football up there. The fans don't really care. And frankly, the more I hear from UConn people, they don't really want to be in the Big 12. So that's got to be worth something as well. Number 9 on the list, San Diego State. San Diego State does get the Big 12 into that 4th time zone out west. That's not a bad thing. They've got, obviously, football that has had some very good seasons. They've got new stadiums, new facilities, new investments. We know what the basketball program has been doing for the better part of 25 years, including last season. Magical run through the NCAA tournament. But I've got them 9th on the list because I just can't justify putting them ahead of any of the Pac-12 schools right now, because the Pac-12 schools, if you add them, ESPN has promised and is guaranteed in the contract to have to pay them the full freight, which is about $32 million. That's ESPN's agreement with the Big 12. If you add a Power 5 school, we'll give them the full freight. Fox has not guaranteed to do that. They would do it based on a handshake agreement under the right circumstances. I'm not convinced that San Diego State is that right now. So I've got them 9th on my list. And last on the list, and I'm just putting them there to round out 10, Gonzaga. They don't have football. That makes it very clunky. The basketball, we know, is great. But even the basketball, Gonzaga basketball is not Gonzaga basketball if it joins the Big 12. Does that make sense? Because Gonzaga in the Big 12, to me, would simply be the kind of program that probably goes 11-7 every year. Gonzaga basketball is Gonzaga basketball because of the conference that they play in. And they enter the NCAA tournament as a 1, 2, 3 seed, and then they try to make a run out of it. But in the Big 12, they go 11-7. They're a bubble team for the NCAA tournament, and they're no longer Gonzaga basketball. So I'm putting them there to round out 10. And it's interesting if Brett Yormark's trying to build a super conference in basketball to talk about Gonzaga. But I have never had an appetite for Gonzaga. I still don't have an appetite for Gonzaga. And I hope that for the most part, the Big 12 doesn't either. I hope that. Oh, boy. Great to be here with you. Let me go through some of your comments, what some of you guys have to say on YouTube Live right now. Pete, where's the Colorado banner? Hey, I just got Houston, Cincinnati, BYU, and UCF up because they just joined the league on July 1. That's when the banner will go up for Colorado. The Colorado banner will go up, all right, will go up on July 1 of 24, and that sign will be gone. So that's where Colorado is going to fit in, and that's how this is all going to work. All right, Pete, how come fans matter for UConn and not for Utah, Washington, or Oregon? Those fans have been much more negative about the Big 12 than anyone from UConn. I'm not putting UConn lower on my list because the fans have been against the Big 12. I'm just kind of noting it. And frankly, when you have the football of Oregon, Utah, or Washington, that supersedes a UConn fan base that has mediocre football at best. At best, and that's me being polite. That's why I'm saying that about UConn. I'm just kind of noting it that UConn's own boosters, alumni, things like that, they don't have any interest apparently in joining the Big 12 conference. So that's just worth noting because they just left the AAC for the Big East. They're back in the Big East. They've got their basketball rivalries going. So Villanova, St. John's, Providence, they're relevant again. They're winning national titles again. They may say, hey, it's not worth it to us to join the Big 12. We were just in a conference that almost went coast to coast, and we got nothing out of it. Our fan base wants basketball. Our fan base wants Villanova, St. John's, Providence, and Georgetown. That may be ultimately how it goes for them. So that's why it's more notable with the fan base and the alumni than Utah, Oregon, and Washington. Those schools in the Pac-12, they're going to have to start moving. They've got to jump at some point. If not, they're going to be in a situation where they're making a half or a third of the money they were making, or they could be making in the Big 12. And if they're holding out for the Big 10, they may be holding out a while. A long while, I must add. Let me go through some of the other comments. We got a lot of stuff from you guys here coming through. Many of you know, Pete, I'd like to see Tulane in the Big 12. Oh, come on. Why? I don't want to act outraged here, but why? Why do you want to see Tulane? Can somebody explain? Why do you want to see Tulane in the Big 12? What's Tulane do for this league? Come on. I love you guys, but let's just, we got a lot of great options here. Oregon and Washington top the list. I'm not talking Tulane right now. I mean, give me 13 teams over Tulane. Are you kidding me? Sheesh. No way. No, I'm not. No, we're not doing that. Now, if you want to know who could hold the keys here on the Big 12, expanding to 14 teams or to 16 teams. Here's what this could come down to. This could come down to Fox Sports. Fox Sports is the one that can ultimately make the call on whether or not the Big 12 gets just one more team to go to 14 or gets three more teams to go to 16. ESPN, as I noted earlier, is required to pay full freight of $20 million per school per year to the newcomers if they're Power 5 programs. But Fox is not required by contract to match the $12 million per Big 12 team for any additional members. But it's agreed verbally to match the number for two additional teams. So Fox has said, and that's how you get the $32 million. $20 million from ESPN, $12 million from Fox to each team each year. It gets you $31 million per team in the Big 12. Fox has told the Big 12, per Brett McMurphy, that we will add or allow you to add two more teams to get to 14, and we'll pay them the full freight of $12 million each. So, okay, that's good for the Big 12. They have not agreed to do that for four more teams. They've only said verbally they would do it for two more teams, per McMurphy. So that's why it's a race right now to be the 14th team. I would like to see the Big 12 add three. If I had my dream three, it would be Oregon, Washington, Arizona. wipe your hands clean, 16 teams, you're done. But and frankly, I think Fox would do that. I think Fox Sports would say, fine, you get Oregon, Washington, and Arizona, great. I mean, we're in gold shape. That works out for everybody. But if not, it may be just one more team that Fox Sports says will pay full freight for one more to get to 14. But remember, it's not a good media environment right now. It's not. Brett Yormark said as much in recent interviews. The Big 12 commissioner has noted in recent interviews that, hey, we may have not gotten the deal right now that we ended up getting last year in the current climate. It is a soft marketing, advertising climate because of the economy being a little soft. So there's nothing out there for the Pac-12 right now. Nothing whatsoever. And we're just going to have to wait and see. Some of you are noting about some of the other folks on YouTube and around the Twitter world that are, throwing rumors out there. I only talk about solid reports that either I've received or from, I don't want to say legitimate reporters because I don't like that word, but the bigger names who have a track record. Those are the people that are worth following and are worth talking about. Not some guy who's like Bob 824156789 with 15 followers saying, "Hey guys, hey, did you hear the news? Oregon's coming next week." No, we're not going to do that. I know it's a great way to get followers, but this show was not built on that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for being here, for being a part of the show. It is going to be a fascinating couple of weeks to see how this all shakes out. And remember this, the Big 12 is in a great place because of Commissioner Brett Yormark. And by the way, for those of you joining us, we've got new T-shirts that we're selling that say, "In Yormark we trust." Go to heartlandcollegesports.com, click on the shop tab at the top of the page. And I'll also put a link here to share with you on the show so you can check it out there as well and get one for yourself. Because, boy, we trust Brett Yormark. That's for damn sure. Before you leave, subscribe to the channel. We so appreciate you doing that on YouTube. Also on iTunes, leave us a rating, review, subscribe. And we've still got the Heartland College Sports Koozies. When you leave a rating and wrong side. There you go. Heartland College Sports Koozies. When you leave a rating and a review and you send me a screenshot to Pete Mundo, Mundo, at heartlandcollegesports.com. These are exciting times. Thanks for being here, following us, following everything we're doing. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Just search Heartland College Sports. Take care. Have a great day.